Hi guys, my name is Sam and welcome to my sewing vlog. Seeing as this is my very first sewing vlog, I thought I would give you a little bit of background as to who I am and my sewing journey so far. My mum initially taught me how to sew and I took textiles and designs when I was at school. The things that I used to sew were mostly my formal dresses, very over the top, kind of fancy dresses, the things that you would really only wear once or maybe twice if you could. It's been the last 2 to 3 years that I've really been invested in sewing my own handmade by me wardrobe. So now the things that I sew are my jeans, my jackets, t-shirts, dresses still, camis, really just anything that a basic wardrobe needs. Now, when I was younger, I despised hand sewing. If there was one step that I could skip, it would be the hand sewing. I didn't have time for it whatsoever. Over the last year or so, I've grown a real appreciation for hand sewing. I think it's very therapeutic. I like that it forces me to slow down and think about each seam and each stitch that I'm making. And I love the fact that I can sit on the lounge and do it at night. I really wanted to challenge myself and hand sew an item from scratch. All hand sewn, no machine work whatsoever. I decided to use the Tokyo jacket by Tessuti Patterns. I'll link it below for you. It's a very relaxed, oversized style jacket. It's not lined, it has very few pattern pieces, which was great because that means fewer seams to sew. And I just really thought it would be a great addition to my wardrobe. Initially, I wanted to make this jacket from a cotton skirt that I already own, but that didn't quite work out. So without further ado, let's get into it. This is the skirt I had intended on using. It's 100% cotton and I think the print is really interesting. So I've laid out the pattern pieces on my skirt to see what I'm working with, and I don't know if you can tell or not, but I don't think I'm going to have enough fabric because I still need to put these pieces on, but I want to keep the integrity of the print. So I just don't think there's going to be enough to work with. The other thing I didn't really think about either is this print is actually curved to the hem of the skirt. And the hem of the Tokyo jacket is decidedly straight. So there really isn't a way that I can lay it on there without it looking a little bit odd. So I think what I'm going to do is keep this skirt for a different upcycling project, and I'm going to have to head to the shops and buy some more fabric. So my closest fabric store happens to be a Spotlight, and I was on the hunt for something like this, which is a double gauze. It's beautiful and soft, but it was just a little bit pricey for this project. There was a bit of linen to choose from, but not a great selection. I was looking at the cheesecloth as well, but the colours were a little bit bright for me this time, and then I happened across this. So here's my purchase. I got 1.8 metres of this fancy cotton slub in the colour Antique Pink. It's nice and soft, just like the double gauze, but it is a little stiffer. The colour is showing quite purple on screen, so I've included a shot here of it in the daylight, and you can see it is much more pink. I also picked up some matching thread in the colour 568. Some beeswax to help with my hand sewing, and a metal thimble. As you saw, it took me a little bit to figure out how the pattern pieces were going to lay on the fabric. I could have had a look at the instructions, but I just didn't feel like getting them out. So this is my final cutting plan. I'm going to mark out all the pattern pieces, making sure that they're on grain, and then I will cut them out. Now I'm using a chalk pencil to mark in the stitching line. So today feels like a big day. Today is the day that I actually start sewing my jacket by hand. I'm excited to start, and I can't wait to see how long it actually takes me. So I think the first step is actually sewing the pocket. So yes, okay, so the pocket is the first thing, so I'll get started on that now. So I'm a few steps in now, and I have some raw edges that I need to take care of. I have this one here, and I also have this one here, which is where the pocket and the bottom of the jacket actually meet. So the instructions say that I need to be finishing these edges with an overlocker, but because I'm not using a machine, I need to do things a little differently. So to take care of this, the pocket band actually gets folded down and sits over the top. And what I'll do is just a very small slip stitch to secure the pocket band to the pocket, and that will hide away that raw edge in there nicely. For this seam here, I'm actually going to do a flat felled seam. So what I'll do is I'll take this seam allowance and I'll trim it down to half of its original width. Then I'll take the longer seam allowance, so this side, I'll fold it in half and then lay it over the top of the cut seam allowance. Then I'll use a whip stitch or a felling stitch to secure the folded edge of this seam here, this seam allowance here, to the actual fabric of the jacket. Now these stitches will be very small, but they will be visible, but it will be showing through on the inside of the jacket. Now onto the shoulder seams. These get stitched together and the raw edges flat felled down. Now that I've finished the shoulder seams, I can move on to sewing the side seam. So you can see here that it follows up and then actually curves around into the bottom of the sleeve. I'll be sewing this the same way that I have my other seams. I'll be back stitching along the stitching line here and then using a flat felled seam to conceal the raw edges. That may be a little bit tricky around this curve here, but we'll see if we can figure it out. Down here at the bottom, the instructions have me finishing off this a little differently to what I'm actually going to do. Because I want to flat fell these seams, I'm just going to sew the bottom of the jacket hem here into the side seam. I'll then trim off any excess on this side here and then just do a normal flat felled seam just to finish that off nicely. I wanted to add in a really cute label from Kylie and the Machine. These have been woven with a metallic thread and I think there's just the perfect label to add to my handmade project. Yes, very cute. Now it's onto the cuffs for the sleeves. So I've been sewing this jacket for 1 week now. I've been keeping a record of everything that I've been doing and how long it's been taking in my bullet journal, so I'll be able to refer back to that at another time and just reminisce on how long this took. The last thing that I need to do is sew on the neckband. Because this is such a long seam and I will have to be sewing it twice, I think I'm just going to pin it up and sew it while I'm sitting on the lounge watching a movie, because it's a very long seam and I don't feel like sitting at my desk to do it. So I'm going to do that last step, and the next time you see the jacket, I'll be wearing it. So here it is, my finished Tokyo jacket. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I think the fabric is a good match for the pattern. It's nice and soft and lightweight, but still has enough structure to keep the shape. I hope you've enjoyed watching my little adventure into hand sewing, and I hope it inspires you to pick up your needle and thread and just give hand sewing a go. You never know, you might actually like it. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.